What if I told you that you could guide almost any decision without the other person even realizing it? No, it's not magic, it's psychology. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible forces of influence that are all around us every single day. You think you are, right? I mean, of course you do. We all like to believe that we make our choices based on pure logic and our own free will. But what if that feeling of being in the driver's seat is, well, at least partly an illusion? Here's the thing. Your brain is constantly reacting to these tiny, invisible cues all day long. From the ads you see online to the way a friend asks you a simple question, you're being nudged in directions you probably don't even notice. So let me ask you again, are you really in control? The honest answer is, a lot of the time, our brain is just on autopilot. But here's the cool part. Once you understand the psychological triggers that guide that autopilot system, you not only see the strings, but you can learn how to gently guide them yourself. So, think of this as your personal influence toolkit. We're going to break down some real science-backed techniques that will make you way more persuasive. And just to be clear, this is all about using these tools ethically and responsibly. All right, first up, the first set of tools in our kit has absolutely nothing to do with what you say. It's all about your presence, those silent signals you're sending that build a connection before you even open your mouth. You know, we're all taught that making eye contact is just being polite, but it is so much more powerful than that. It's actually a tool of influence. Studies have shown that people become more agreeable, even more willing to listen, when someone holds their gaze in a calm, steady way. So why does it work? Well, it's a little brain hack. When you hold someone's gaze for just a beat longer than usual, their brain automatically interprets that as a sign of confidence, of authority. And that little shortcut makes them much more likely to trust whatever you say next. Okay, this next tool is even sneakier. It's called mirroring. This is the simple act of subtly mimicking someone's body language. You know, if they lean in, you lean in a little bit. If they cross their arms, maybe you do too a few seconds later. It creates this powerful, unconscious feeling that you're both on the same wavelength. Just how powerful is this? Get this. One study found that waiters who just subtly mirrored their customers' posture and gestures earned a whopping 70% more in tips. The customers had no idea why they liked their server more. They just did. That's mirroring in action. So how can you actually use this? It's pretty simple. First, just observe. Watch their posture, their rhythm. Second, after a little bit, subtly shift into a similar pose. Now, the key word here is subtle. You're not a copycat. But if you do it right, you'll literally feel the connection start to build. Okay, so your presence can speak volumes. But what about when you actually start talking? Well, some words are like little keys that unlock the yes part of the human brain. So what do you think is the single most persuasive word in the English language? It's probably not what you think. It isn't please. It's not thank you. It's something way more basic and way more powerful. And there it is. The word is because. I know, it sounds way too simple to actually work, right? But the psychology behind it is absolutely fascinating. So in this classic study, a researcher tried cutting in line for a copy machine. When they just asked, "May I use the machine?" they had about a 60% success rate. But when they added a reason, "May I use the machine because I'm in a rush?" the success rate jumped to 94%. And here's the crazy part. Even a totally pointless reason, like "because I have to make copies," worked just as well. It turns out our brains are just wired to respond to a reason, even if it's not a good one. Okay, 2 more quick power words for your toolkit. First, the word you. Using you makes whatever you're saying feel personal and direct. And second, the word imagine. That word tells the brain to stop thinking critically and start picturing a positive outcome, getting them emotionally on board. So we've got our physical tools and our verbal tools. Now let's level up and combine them into some more advanced strategies. These are the psychological nudges that can shape behavior over the long haul. First on the list is a classic, the foot in the door technique. This one taps into our deep need to be consistent with ourselves. See, once you get someone to agree to a tiny, easy request, their brain wants to stay consistent. That makes it way, way harder for them to say no when you come back later with a bigger request. And how effective is it? Well, in one incredible study, researchers got homeowners to put a tiny little sticker in their window supporting a cause. A few weeks later, they went back and asked the same people to put a giant, ugly sign on their front lawn. The result? A stunning 76 of them said yes, all because they'd already agreed to that little sticker. All right, our final strategy is all about the incredible power of a first impression. It's called the halo effect. Our brains are efficient. You could even say lazy. They love shortcuts. And when we see just one positive thing about someone, maybe they're well dressed or they speak confidently, our brain just kind of puts a halo over their head and assumes everything else about them is positive too. So, if your first impression is one of confidence, people's brains will literally fill in the gaps for you. They'll unconsciously assume you're also more intelligent, more honest, and more trustworthy. That's why nailing that initial impression is absolutely critical. Wow, we've just walked through some incredibly powerful stuff. But look, knowing this isn't just about influencing others, it's also about building a defense. It's about recognizing when these techniques are being used on you. Because you know what they say, with great power comes great responsibility. So, here it is, your brand new toolkit. You've got eye contact and mirroring to build that instant rapport. You have power words like because to help get to yes. You've got the foot in the door for big requests and the halo effect to master that first impression. You get how all these tools work now. And that really just brings us to the final and most important question of all. You now have the keys to the kingdom of influence. You can spot these techniques from a mile away, and you know how to use them. The only question left is, what are you going to do with them?